Not entirely sure what I watched, but I'm gonna do my best here. Sausage Party is directed by Greg Tiernan, who worked on the Thomas the Tank series, as well as Conrad Vernon, who worked on the Shrek series, Penguins of Madagascar, and Monsters vs. Aliens. So these guys have a pretty extensive animation background, but this is completely different from what they've done in the past. And of course, this film features the voices of Seth Rogen, who also co-wrote the film, Kristen Wiig, Jonah Hill, Michael Cera, Nick Kroll, and a whole bunch of other people in this film doing voice acting that it would take me forever to list. But just to keep it simple, there are a ton of people voicing in this film. It's the story of a hot dog named Frank who lives in this grocery store with all this other food that basically walks, talks, breathes, sings. They do everything, basically everything that they do in like a Disney or Pixar film. But in this one, Frank sort of discovers his existence and then starts to contemplate it with the gods, aka humans, who take these food items and grocery store items to the great beyond, which is essentially just taking them home from the store. And then he finds out that things aren't exactly what they are in the grocery store. They expect everything to be great in the great beyond, that everything's happy-go-lucky, but they find out that they're brutally massacred, cut up, killed, used because they're products and food, but they don't know that. So it sounds kind of like a weird story, but at the same time, it's kind of cool concept. I'm not really sure where to start with this one, so I guess I'll start with the good, I guess. So definitely one of the good things that I liked about this movie were some of the story elements and concepts. If it was very much a parody of like Disney and Pixar, so you kind of got to look at this animated food and grocery store items, toilet paper, foods, canned foods, mustard, vegetables, corn, hot dogs, buns, everything. And it kind of played with this fun dynamic of having them being living beings and also sort of put them into stereotypes based on what they are, which I thought was kind of fun, even though it was pretty much satirical and making fun of a lot of what's happening in the real world. I thought it was fun to put that concept of all this crap that's happening in the real world into an animated food grocery store setting. I just thought it was a lot of fun. It was kind of refreshing. It was definitely a new take. This is an R-rated comedy, so it's completely different from what a Disney or Pixar movie is, but that's what kind of makes it so much more fun. Like I said, this film also very much parodies Disney and Pixar's formula as far as animated creatures or beings go. So when they start doing sort of more raunchy things, swearing, cussing, well, swearing and cussing are the same thing. So when they start doing swearing, when they start sort of mentioning and referencing sex, they even have sex and do some other weird stuff in this movie. They get high, they do a whole bunch of other stuff. Kind of you expect to see in a Seth Rogen movie at this point. But I think that's kind of what leads me into the negatives, is there was a lot of this stuff. So let's get into the negatives. One of the biggest negatives in reference to what I just said is that they kind of go a little too far with a lot of this stuff. There's almost too much sort of raunchiness to this film. Like, I'm all for like these animated cartoon food stuff like that. Cursing, talking about sex, making like blowjob jokes or something like that. I'm all for that. It's definitely a lot of fun. But there were times in this film where it just went too far. So there was definitely a lot of pushing of the envelope in this film. And I'm going to talk about some stuff that may be spoilers for the film, even though it's not really a spoiler, at least in my opinion, because there's not really anything to spoil. But anyway, other than food. Food jokes. A lot of these things I feel like could have also been better done in not entirely an hour and a half movie, but rather in like a 30 to 40 minute short. We could have gotten the same concepts with a little bit less of the raunchiness, but twice as much fun. So let me tell you some of the things that I didn't necessarily like that they did in this movie that just took away from a lot of how much fun I was having watching this concept. Now, the main villain of this film, besides the humans who take the food to the great beyond and eat them, destroy them, use them, stuff like that, is literally a douche. The character who is the main villain chasing the other grocery store characters is literally a douche. And he's voiced by Nick Kroll, who I'm not that big of a fan of. I never really have been. So putting him in as a douche, which he plays very, very well, I didn't like it that much. It became very annoying very quickly, and it just took you out of the movie, and you're just like, what the hell is happening right now? Now, in order for the humans to see the food as live creatures, which eventually they do see them as, they have to inject bath salts. So, cool? The first human that gets to see the food sort of as animated after injecting bath salts gets decapitated, which is kind of weird. It was completely necessary and out of left field, but at the same time, there's kind of this funny moment where Michael Cera's little hot dog character is like messing with the decapitated head, so it's a little bit funny, but at the same time, a human got decapitated, and it's just kind of like, what? Also, there is a massive orgy scene towards the end of this film, and while watching it, I was concerned that I was on drugs because it was just really weird and out of nowhere. Finally, the ending of the film is as meta as it can possibly get. The characters find out that they are cartoons who are voiced by celebrities. They sort of create this Stargate sort of thing out of like Christmas lights and a toilet seat, and they go through this portal leading you to assume that there's going to be a sequel where these characters go into another dimension where they can sort of interact or at least get revenge on the voice actors that they're being voiced by. It's really, really insane. They set it up for a sequel, which if they can make a sequel out of that, good for them, because this was a crazy concept, but at the same time it was kind of cool in the way that they sort of twisted it and sort of went with it. So I'm kind of on the fence about this film, so let me get to the grade. The grade I'm going to give Sausage Party is a C. Throughout this film I kept asking myself, what the hell am I watching? At times it was so raunchy and it was so over the top, and then other times it just sort of fell flat where the story felt like it was starting to go in the right direction. So it was very in the middle for me. I felt like it did a lot of things right. Great concept, phenomenal concept, but it also did a lot of things wrong with being just a little too raunchy, at least in my opinion. But that's essentially how I feel about this movie. Let me know down in the comments below what your favorite raunchy film is, or what you thought of Sausage Party. Is it the greatest thing you've ever seen, or is it just something really, really weird? Let me know down in the comments below. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and please stay tuned because I'm going to be doing a lot of videos soon. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of things I need to start filming. I'm just going to keep messing with my formula, essentially, trying to grow this channel, trying to grow how I make videos. So please stay tuned and keep watching. Thank you so much for watching, and like always, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos, and we'll see you in the next one.